Hi there and welcome to my channel that I continue to call Work in Progress. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what I'm always going to call it in terms of kind of describing what it's about, because it is a work in progress. We're going to see how we're guided and what's going to come out of this. We're starting over after having the channel for a very short time before COVID. And now we're kind of giving it a shot again, and we want to see what's going to happen. However, my idea continues to be with me about having conversations with everyday people just like you and me of the stories of our life journey, and to be able to share these stories for the purpose of helping one another. And I also always believe that by doing this, by sharing these stories, we're going to discover we're much more alike than not alike. And even more importantly, we're going to find out that we can help others by sharing our story, that somebody else is going to be having that same challenge or situation in their life, and your sharing that could really help another person. So that is still definitely in my mind of where this channel will go, but we'll, again, kind of have to let it evolve and see what happens. However, if anybody right now is listening and you'd like to have a conversation with me, what we'll do is we'll do it through Zoom and record it through Zoom, and then we'll put it on this channel. Obviously, before we actually record, we'll talk about ideas and what you would like to share, etc., and we'll go from there. So my contact information is below the video, so if you feel so inspired to have a conversation with me on Zoom, then click below and we'll start talking about that idea. In the meantime, I'm going to keep talking about ideas that I feel are important today on this journey, and I'm on the journey as well as you're on the journey, and we're all in different levels, let's call it, of the journey, so that it varies, you know what I mean. But what I wanted to talk today about is what a lot of people today, and we're calling it awakening. Awakening really to what is this all about? What are we doing here? What is this life about? And, you know, really what it comes down to, if we just kind of cut to the chase, and what is meant by awakening, is that we as an individual, someone out here having this human experience, we no longer, or we let go of misidentifying ourselves with the false self, the ego, the main character in this movie. We can describe it in 100 different ways. But once we can stop identifying with thinking that's who we are here, and recognize that we are the awareness, the consciousness, spirit that came into this body to have a human experience, and that we're not that false self, we're not any of it, really. We're not. We're the observer, we're the witness, but we are definitely at the same time having the experience. So right now, what we're hearing, at least, and I believe it's true, a lot more people are beginning to awaken, because it is so important right now as we're going through this evolutionary process, that we have all aboard that can be aboard to help out during this time. And so that is why more people are awakening. However, let's just talk about how this really works, because it's very, very, very rare that a person just wakes up overnight and boom, they're there, and they're in the flow of life, and they're no longer identifying at all with the false self, and so life becomes a different experience. It doesn't mean that any of the challenges of life will disappear at all. You're still going to have those challenges, but you're viewing them and experiencing them from a different level. So what happens during this time for most of us, like I said, it's very rare that somebody it's an overnight deal. Although Eckhart Tolle did kind of have an overnight wake up, and but he took him quite a few years, if I remember correctly, where he really was kind of trying to adjust to this new experience, let's call it. So even though he woke up overnight, he still had to go through some adjustment. And so do we. So what I see it as is we have shifts in energy or shifts in understanding. They're like a shift, and it's a part of the awakening, but it's not the whole thing. And so it happens gradually as we begin to have different experiences. We can have a shift oftentimes from a certain experience. And even though we can understand, which some of us do intellectually, and totally 100% believe and with that idea that we're not the false self or the ego or the main character in our story, even though we absolutely know that, there's no argument with it, we are still more often than not living as if we are the false self, the character in the movie. And through that process, though, what happens is it's kind of a flip-flop, we flip-flop back and forth between getting it, like, this isn't who I am, but having the experience, and then kind of getting sucked back in, so to speak, and feeling fully that we are that, the character, we are the false self, and then we're suffering, because that's what happens, is as thinking, misidentifying, let's just call it that, with the false self, we suffer. Not 100% of the time, but we struggle because that's where we're caught up in thinking that the judgments, right, wrong, good, bad, all the things that are caused by identifying with an ego. And so we kind of stay in a loop and, not necessarily enjoy that loop at all. So it is kind of a struggle. And so for those of us that have been on a spiritual path, we get that. We also get that this whole business of what we're experiencing is a dream, is an illusion, but at the same time, it feels very real. And we are, as a spirit, experiencing the things that this life, meaning being in form, has to offer, good, bad, and otherwise. So I think one of the things that's important to know is this waking up idea does not give us a free ticket to never having to struggle or be having challenges or issues that we have to deal with. It doesn't. We're here to experience certain things. And the certain things that we came here to experience have already been planned before we ever came into this body. So that's already done. That's a done deal. We just don't know what it is. And even when we wake up, we don't know what it is, but we are much more of an accepting and a getting in the flow and not resisting or fighting about what's happening here or angry about or wanting to change everything. All the things, these human emotions, we're not as caught up in those, and we're much more open and available to just be with the experience, to observe it, to witness it. We feel it. We'll feel emotions. When waking up does not mean all the emotions are gone, not by any means. It also doesn't mean that you wouldn't feel pain, physical pain in the body, emotional pain, grief and loss. Those are what we came to feel. That's part of the reason we're here, to begin to, this is where we can feel it. And on this planet, on this third dimension is where we actually feel these types of emotions. And what we work toward, whether we know it or not, is to really let go of the emotions, which are definitely a part of the character in this movie, or the ego, to experience love. So a lot of the near-death experiencers these people that have really been showing up a lot more lately, as a lot of people are interviewing them, have really experienced this whole situation during their near-death experience, and they come back with a real intention, almost mission, if you will, to be about love on this planet, to really be working toward that, and to also let go of all the judgments and the fight and the resistance and all the stuff we go through here, which isn't pleasant. And yeah, we can have some pleasant times here, but they don't last. And even as we wake up, it's not like we have this smooth ride and everything's all roses. To those people that have definitely been awakened, particularly some of the teachers, they still can struggle with physical situations. Adishante, if you've followed him at all, he took a year sabbatical off, and he's come back on now, and he talked about how, he's had severe pain, nerve pain, for the past 20 years, and he just finally discovered it was from a over-the-counter allergy drug that he was taking. But more it was about him explaining that, when he had his awakening, he didn't believe or think that this is going to give him this free ride of no pain and no suffering. And, it's obvious that he's a well-known, very highly respected teacher, and yet he's had this experience. So, maybe some of us want to wake up because we think it's going to be all perfect, and it isn't going to be that way. However, and I'm not awakened completely at this point, I'm the one that flip-flops back and forth. It doesn't give us this, what we're thinking of, well, we're still with the false self. It's not that ideal life. It's not like once you have enlightenment or awakening that everything is like a bed of roses. No, we came here for this experience, whatever that is. We all have our different experiences that we came to learn or to teach or to do something with. And those of us that are on the planet right now are definitely here for however long we'll be here during this evolutionary process of the human species. So I think it's more now than ever that it is, in a way, I was going to say demanding of us, and maybe that's what it is. It's certainly asking us to be much more aware and contribute to this process of this evolution that we're going through as a human species. And that's going to require us to be much more within. The external world is getting crazier and crazier all the time. And it's like the voices in the forest. It's to really try to get us involved in that outer world. There's a purpose in trying to keep us distracted in that external world, and to listen not to all the voices in the forest, and either to be part of the fight against, but fight against out there, not within, or join in, or anyway, it's all a distraction. And that takes us then away from the evolutionary process. And so that's the game that's kind of going on, if you want to call it a game. But so for those of us that really are on purpose or do understand to be a part of this whole evolutionary process in a positive way, then that requires us to really go within, because that's where it all happens. That's it. And the more that we can go within through self-inquiry, through awareness of catching ourselves when we're judging, suffering, and kind of experiencing these emotions in the body so that they can be released, so that a lot of the programming that we've grown up with and kept that no longer serves us, to release that programming, to release the emotions. And these are literally in our in this body. They're, and that's what causes triggers for us. So, we all have our different triggers, and whatever comes up, maybe that causes you to be angry. We could think, okay, I'm angry because the guy cut me off on the freeway. But actually what happened is we already had the anger inside of us, and it just got triggered through this particular situation. And if we don't become aware of what's going on, then we're often running with this idea that it's somebody's fault, that I'm feeling that I'm feeling angry. This is hard because, there's been this whole human way of being, and through the years it's become more and more of a problem, less and less of, what do I want to call it, less understandable maybe, or we've just not seen, we've not had the awareness to really get the bird's eye view of, oh my God, this is going on here. And it's not to get the view of, oh my God, this is going on here, to fight it, or because it won't work. In the fighting of it, you just join in with it. In other words, we're not moving outside of it. And that's really what we have to do. And I don't mean to ignore it or pretend like it doesn't happen, but that's not where our energy needs to be. Our energy needs to be within. And as we begin to awaken out of this dream, then this is where we can have much more of a influence on helping one another move through this time. And, I don't know about you, but I know about myself and others that I speak with, and just what I hear out there is I think most people today are feeling like, what the hell is going on? Like, I've never seen the world like this. When I say most people, these are obviously going to be more adults, definitely teens, the look at the suicide rate that's going on. So it's not just at the adult level, but a child just coming into this world isn't having that same experience, right? But as we begin to get more alert, you could say, or more aware of our environment, then this is where we begin to kind of maybe go into a little bit of a shock, or a lot of a shock. And then the confusion comes in about what to do, Whose side are you on? Well, it isn't about taking sides. And I think because of all this crap that's going on out there, it isn't making it easier. It's probably making it harder for us to realize that the value that we can offer to this as a human, as a spirit having a human experience, is to go within. And to definitely have a goal and an intention to want to wake up to the truth of who we are. The truth of we're awareness, we're a spirit. We come into this body with a plan. And the plan is to have these certain experiences, because we can't have them when we're not in a body. So the body's the vehicle to experience these physical feelings, the emotional feelings, being in form, all that goes on here, right? So it's a difficult subject, as many subjects are difficult to talk about today. But I think what we're trying to do for each other is just get a little bit of an opening that we can start to allow ourselves to see things a bit differently than maybe we've been seeing them. To become more aware and notice how many times we're resisting what's going on. We're wanting to run away sometimes from what we're feeling. In fact, maybe a lot of times run away. Or, try to numb ourselves in whatever way that is. Don't want to feel it because it's really uncomfortable. And yet, as uncomfortable as it is, it's actually required that we go within and feel the stuff that's not feeling good for us. The emotions, what are the thoughts that go through our mind all the time? What have we been programmed in to believe in that offers us no peace, but offers us a lot of struggle and a lot of suffering? And so as we begin to kind of unravel this, we could say, unravel we're seeing, what's real, what's not real, and be willing and open to do that, especially now, maybe with this, we could call it a crisis in a way, people do call it a crisis, of this human evolutionary process we're going through, to really start to change the way we've been. And as each of us make some effort and even some success in making these shifts and these changes toward a better life, meaning a better understanding of what's going on here, then that is where the support comes in to really help, and maybe we should say really make sure that the human species survives this evolution and comes out the other end with a completely different experience of this life. A lot of people just been describing that right now life on Earth is hell. That's the hell. Heaven and hell can exist on Earth, and people are feeling like a lot of hell is existing. But we can't get stuck there, because that is, again, a belief and a program that will just generate suffering and fear for us. So I think I'm going to attach a video today that I watched that I'll attach the link to it, because it was about, I think this guy explains very clearly what it is about that we're trying to understand, so to speak. Not understand from the mental or the intellect, but understand on a bodily level what we're going through. And I can't think of his name right now, I'm sorry, but I'll put the link in. And it's worth it listening to. It's a short documentary. I think it was about 20 minutes or maybe a half hour, but very well put. At least I found it that way, so I'll share that because maybe that'll help somebody out there as well. So today I'm going to try to keep this shorter than normal and not keep trying to repeat the same thing, and kind of this is what I've got to give, to say right now, and not try to push it. So I hope, again, like I said, I hope this helps somebody. I also, again, want to remind you, if you're willing to have a conversation with me about your particular insights, in fact, what you think about certain things, what are you experiencing, what has been something that you found to help. Check out my contact information below the video and let's talk. Also, leave a comment, definitely leave a comment about what you think about what I've mentioned here, so that can start another kind of conversation. Again, this is all about helping one another going through this time of challenge. It really is. It's a time of challenge. I think it's a time of challenge unlike what we've ever experienced before. Also, if you like the video, please click like, subscribe, and there's that little doodad next to the subscribe, which will let you know, it'll alert you to when any new videos are coming out. In the meantime, I encourage you to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I know I keep practicing this. For me, I keep discovering more and more. It's easier to be kind to others than myself, because I have a program and a going about what I'm not rather than what I am, so what I'm not enough. So that program kind of keeps me stuck sometimes. But again, I'm working on it, and I'm working on it all from inner work. I'll remind some of you too, there's something called automatic writing, which has been hugely helpful for me. You can look it up online. and see if you have an interest in it. You'll be shocked if you try it. You know, if just reading about it isn't going to do it, I'd say give it a shot. And you might be shocked like I've been about the information I'm getting from my guides, the downloads, the stuff that it's definitely not coming from me. You know, sometimes when you start this stuff, you think, am I making this up? Or where is this coming from? And then if you do it for a little while, you realize it's not even the way that you would communicate, but that communication that's coming through is very clear. It is definitely a way to use more of our intuition, or to really get in touch with the inner part, the inner guides and so forth, or our guides, and to get answers to problems or situations that we're in, and maybe we don't know where to turn, you know, which way to turn, and feel kind of hopeless. And so this automatic writing can really help. And I was a person that felt for sure this wasn't something that I would do. I feel like I haven't journaled. I'm not the kind of person that's done a lot of journaling or that type of stuff. So I was pretty sure it wouldn't do anything, but I got inspired to try it. And I'm so glad I did, because it's made a huge difference in me working through my particular issues that I need to work through, so that I can become more aware and more awakened in this time. Okie dokie. So in the meantime, like I said, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And until next time, I'm going to click us off, and I'm going to see if I can do one click and it'll come off. Nope.